Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. Comedy is the art of delivering a message with laughter. The new romantic comedy You People tackles race and family dynamics. The movie focuses on the families of an interracial couple. And I spoke with Julia Louis Dreyfus and David Duchovny, who played Jonah Hill's parents in the movie, along with Travis Bennet and Sam Jay, about breaking down the complexities of race through the medium of comedy.
First, I'm going to go to you,
Hmm.
David. And this film does such an incredible job of taking on conversations that need to be had, that people need to hear, and it does so with humor, which is a great way to implement that. And
Yeah.
I wonder if you would comment a little bit on using humor to take on subjects that people need to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been my instinct is to go at as an actor going after dramatic things is like finding the humor in those. So that's always been my kind of instinct as a person and as a performer. And I think funny stuff just opens up the room. It opens up the windows. It lets air into the room. And I think it's just necessary that we all just take a step back and laugh, and then go back at it again, and then let's have another discussion.
Yeah, great, thank you. And Julia, your character Shelley just really steps in it throughout the
I
entire
know.
film. She just isn't getting it until there's that moment where Amira confronts her
Yes.
and says, "You are problematic." Yeah, I wonder, would you talk a bit about having that conversation, or having hearing that from this character Amira, and shooting that scene with Lauren?
Well, it was actually it was a very well written scene, and so it was. I'm not going to say easy, but it made it possible to step into a very intense feeling of sadness and regret, and that's how she feels, and she's properly gutted by what Amira, played by the wonderful Lauren London, says to her in that moment, because it's the opposite of what her intention was, and she was just so clueless.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine being told that by somebody that I love, except to say that I try to imagine it in the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's really poignant. It's well done.
Thank you.
Yes. And David, I found it interesting. So Shelley gets this talking to,
Yeah.
but Arnold doesn't, and he
No.
is equally problematic. I will say that scene at the piano is hilarious because
Yeah.
it's so cringy the way
Yeah.
he's singing. And I wonder, at what point do you think Arnold kind of catches on and learns that he's part of the problem as well?
I don't know that Arnold does.
I don't think he
I
does.
don't think Arnold does. I think Arnold doesn't see a problem anywhere. There's no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
So there's no problem to be solved. He's not part of any problem. She's not the problem. I mean, there are obviously problems that we're having here, but it's nothing more than a dinner conversation, I think, to him. Like he's just very easygoing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder, Julia, would you just talk kind of generally, just working with this incredible cast, and then also with Eddie Murphy, who you were on Saturday Night Live with
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a joy, and that's this cast, and Kenya drew me to the project. Of course, it's a very rich. It's a very rich situation creatively that was so enticing, and to work with Eddie again was just hilarious. I can't believe we've been in the business so long that it felt like when we saw each other, it was like a high school reunion of sorts, So it was a real gift to be able to be a part of this
Yeah.
endeavor.
Would you talk a little bit about the role of humor in confronting things that are difficult?
I think that I personally deal with a lot of things via humor because it just gives a lightness to things. And I think that it's important to have some conversations that are hard to have. And I think humor lightens it all up, and it just makes it a lot easier to confront somebody if you say a joke.
Yeah, for sure. And Sam, you have this scene where your character Mo, who's very good friends with Jonah's character Ezra, says, "Look, you're never going to fully get it. You're never going to really fully understand, no matter how much you love Black culture, how much whatever you think you know, you're never going to get it. And would you talk a little bit about saying that and the importance of having someone hear that? I mean, he was floored by it.
I mean, I think that, especially in the context of the movie, it was just an important moment to kind of check him, you know what I mean? And check his privilege. I think sometimes people think just because, you listen to the music or you wear the clothes that you fully get it, but it is also a very personal experience, and it is unique to Black people, you know what I mean? And the only way you can ever really get it is to ask questions, but to not presume you understand just because you've consumed some art or bought an outfit.
Right. Exactly. And then I just wanted to go back to you as well, because you have this great scene on the plane with Eddie where Eddie doesn't know that you're not a guy. And would you talk a little bit about that scene, which is incredibly funny, and then just working closely with Eddie?
We just tried to have fun with it. Like I feel like that we had like a line already in it, and I was like, dang, I need to get like a laugh. I'm in the scene with Eddie. I gotta get something. You know what I mean? So I just threw it at him, and he was like, I like that. Do that again. I'm gonna say something back. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And we just played with it.
I love it. Well, it's an incredibly funny moment.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Travis, your character is kind of like the peacemaker a little bit.
Is he?
Well, he's certainly not Akbar. But I do wonder if you would talk a little bit about playing that character who's not as extreme as Akbar, but who's kind of walking a line and, I think wants Amira to be happy at the end of the day.
I think he is me and Molly Gordon, who plays Jonah's younger sister, just the most progressive characters who are, the younger generation that understand that you can have friends on all sides of race, religion, all sorts of things. And, to have a dad who's like super Muslim and super Black, it was like funny to make little jokes about that. I think those like subtleties of a son not wanting to be exactly who his dad is or who his dad wants him to be is like something that every kid experiences, whether, their family is religious, not whatever race they are. It's just expectation.
Well, Kenya, I want to go to you first. You have this great career of using humor to take on difficult conversations, and there are two scenes in this film that really struck me. One is Mo kind of confronting Ezra about how he thinks, he gets it, and he never quite will. And then, of course, this incredible scene with Amira and Shelley. And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about putting those two really important scenes into this film and using humor to
two of my
tackle
favorite
it.
scenes, honestly, in the movie. That, first of all, I think you're talking about the wedding scene with Julia. And
Yes.
it was, you could hear a pin drop on the set. We shot it twice because we were like, we don't need to shoot this, too many times, because they nailed it, and we wanted to I didn't want to do cross characters because it was so fluid between them. And I was like, I could tell she had prepped, because the tears were real from Julia, because she was like, she saw maybe herself, she saw the character, but it was, and I think there were some things that she changed, but it also was a real thing of like, oftentimes we are looked at in not a malicious way, but sort of as exotic animals, you know what I'm saying? And it's diminishing, and it's marginalizing, and it's not meant to do that. But I think the idea of like, she had enough, and it felt like it was like, that was a scene, like, like the scene that sort of coalesced everything in the movie. So I'm glad you saw it. And then I think the scene with Mo, we rewrote that, and the idea of sort of, I'm big into allegories and things like that, and that, he's, as she said, to Black people in America, like and there was so much more of that, we had to boil it down, which hard, but like, a woman the most dangerous thing in the world is a woman who's been cheated on, you know what I'm saying? Because everything, it's like, what were you doing this? But to Black people in America, that's, we're the cheated, we've been cheated on, and
Thank you so much to Julia, David, Sam, and Travis for speaking with me. You People is streaming on Netflix January 27th. For my full interviews with the cast and more from the biggest names in entertainment, open the Advocate channel on YouTube. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. I'll see you next time.